A message has been searching for you, chosen one. And somehow, through all the noise, all the distractions, all the delays, you are hearing it today. Not by accident. Not by coincidence. Because there are moments when heaven whispers. And there are moments when heaven interrupts your life completely. This is one of those moments. So be still for a second. Breathe. And listen carefully. Because I am speaking directly to you, my child. You have spent so much time wondering why your path has been harder than others. Why your heart feels deeper. Why you notice things people around you ignore. Why your spirit has always felt different, even in crowded rooms. It is because you were never meant to blend into this world. You were chosen to awaken within it. Before you understood your purpose, you felt the battle, the isolation, the confusion, the silent wars inside your mind. People misunderstood you. Some abandoned you. Some only loved the version of you that stayed small. And slowly, you began questioning yourself. You wondered if you were too emotional. Too sensitive. Too broken. Too lost to become anything meaningful. But my child, the very thing that made you feel different is the proof that you were marked for something greater. Chosen ones are not created in comfort. They are shaped in silence. Forged through heartbreak. Built inside storms nobody else can see. That is why your journey has felt heavy. Because your spirit carries an assignment bigger than your pain. Listen to me carefully now. The enemy attacked your confidence. Because they feared your awakening. The distractions came. Because your focus is powerful. The betrayals happened. Because not everyone was meant to walk beside you into your next season. And the delays. Oh, my child. The delays were never denial. I was preparing you. While you were crying over closed doors. I was protecting you from rooms that would have destroyed your peace. While you felt forgotten. I was teaching your soul how to depend on me instead of the approval of people. You kept asking why life kept breaking you apart. But what if I told you? I was never breaking you. I was breaking the chains attached to you. There is a version of yourself you have not met yet. A fearless version. A healed version. A spiritually awakened version. And every painful season has been leading you toward that person. You think your story is falling apart. But heaven says your story is finally aligning. My child. You are entering a season where your discernment will sharpen. You will begin seeing people clearly. You will stop begging for love that comes with conditions. You will stop shrinking yourself to fit places I never designed for you. And suddenly, the loneliness that once hurt you will become the peace that protects you. Because not everyone can go where you are going. Read that in your spirit again. Not everyone can go where you are going. Some people were lessons. Some were distractions. Some were assignments sent to test your heart. But the ones meant for your destiny will never require you to betray yourself just to keep them. My child. You have cried enough over people who were never meant to stay forever. Now it is time to rise. Not in anger. Not in revenge. But in awareness. You are finally waking up to who you truly are. You are not weak for feeling deeply. You are not foolish for loving hard. You are not broken because life wounded you. Even stars are born in darkness. And the darkness around you lately has been preparing your light. There are gifts inside you that suffering uncovered. Strength you did not know you had. Wisdom you could not learn from comfort. Faith that only grew because everything else failed. That is why you survived. Not because life was easy, but because there is something divine inside you that refuses to die. And I need you to hear this today more than ever. Stop doubting your calling. Stop speaking failure over your future. Stop looking at your current situation as if it defines your destiny. You are in transition, not defeat. A seed buried underground. Looks invisible before it becomes unstoppable. And right now, you are growing in places nobody can see yet. Do not quit before the transformation appears. Because the breakthrough you prayed for is already moving toward you. The peace, the healing, the clarity, the purpose. It is closer than you think. But first, you must release the old version of yourself. The version addicted to overthinking. The version that tolerated disrespect. The version that believed being chosen meant living without rest. No, my child. Being chosen does not mean you will never feel pain. It means pain will never have the final word over your life. You are protected in ways you cannot yet understand. There were accidents that missed you. Doors that closed to save you. Battles you never saw because I fought them before they reached you. And one day, you will look back at this season and realize the confusion was guiding you somewhere sacred. Nothing was wasted. Not the heartbreak. Not the waiting. Not the tears you cried at night when nobody knew how tired you truly were. I collected every tear. I heard every silent prayer. Even the ones you could not put into words. And now, a shift is happening. You can feel it, can't you? The old energy no longer fits your spirit. The old habits feel heavy now. The old version of you is slowly fading. Because your soul remembers who you are. Chosen one. You were never created just to survive this world. You were sent here to transform through it. To rise after devastation. To carry light into dark places. To become living proof that pain can become purpose. So do not fear this next chapter. Walk into it boldly. You are not walking alone. I am guiding every unseen step. And even when the path feels uncertain, trust this. If I placed the vision inside your heart, I already created the strength inside your spirit to reach it. Now stand up, my child. Wipe your tears. Lift your head. Release the fear. Because the version of you that emerges after this season will no longer beg the world for permission to shine. And when people ask how you survived everything meant to destroy you, You will simply smile and say, God never left me. And now, my child, the real transformation begins. Because once a chosen soul awakens, nothing around them stays the same. Not their thoughts. Not their spirit. Not even the people surrounding them. That is why lately you have felt disconnected from things that once felt normal. Conversations feel empty. Certain places drain your energy. Certain people suddenly feel heavy on your soul. You thought something was wrong with you. But listen carefully. Your spirit is outgrowing what can no longer hold your destiny. Growth feels lonely before it feels powerful. And that loneliness has been testing you. There were nights you wanted someone to rescue you. Someone to understand the war inside your mind. Someone to remind you that you were not losing yourself. But I allowed the silence for a reason. Because I needed you to discover something greater than outside validation. I needed you to discover me within you. My child. There is a strength inside your spirit that only awakens when everything external disappears. And now you are beginning to feel it. That quiet voice telling you to keep going. That strange peace arriving in the middle of chaos. That feeling that your life is preparing to change forever. That is not your imagination. That is alignment. You spent years chasing things that were never meant for your soul. Approval. Attention. Temporary love. People who only saw your value when you were useful to them. But chosen ones cannot build their future on temporary things. Because your calling is eternal. And what I am preparing for you requires a stronger spirit than the one you had before. That is why the fire became intense. The betrayal hurt deeper. The waiting lasted longer. The battles became heavier. Not because I abandoned you, but because pressure reveals hidden power. Diamonds are not formed in comfort, my child. Neither are chosen souls. There were moments you almost gave up completely. Moments you sat alone asking, God, why is this happening to me? And heaven was silent. Not because I ignored you, but because some answers cannot be heard until your spirit becomes still enough to receive them. You kept asking me to remove the storm, while I was teaching you how to walk through it without fear. Read that again in your heart. You were never supposed to stay the same after this season. The old version of you was too dependent on people who could not see your worth. Too afraid of rejection. Too willing to abandon yourself just to keep others comfortable. But look at you now. You are beginning to choose peace over chaos. Distance over disrespect. Healing over pretending. And even though the transformation hurts, your soul knows this is necessary. My child. Not everyone will understand your awakening. Some people benefited from your self-doubt. Some people grew comfortable with the version of you that stayed silent. Some people liked you better when you were easier to control. But you cannot shrink your destiny to fit someone else's comfort. You were not born to disappear. You were born to rise. That is why your spirit has been restless lately. Your soul is tired of surviving. It wants freedom now. Freedom from fear. Freedom from toxic cycles. Freedom from carrying burdens that were never yours to hold. And hear me clearly. You do not need permission to become who I created you to be. Stop waiting for people to clap for your healing. Stop waiting for everyone to understand your journey. Most people cannot recognize transformation until it becomes impossible to ignore. But heaven already sees what you are becoming. A warrior with a gentle heart. A soul that survived darkness without becoming cruel. A person who still believes in light after walking through pain. That is rare. Protect it. My child. The next chapter of your life will require courage. Because blessings often arrive disguised as uncertainty first. You may have to walk away from what feels familiar. You may have to release old identities. You may have to trust me before the evidence appears. But faith was never about controlling the outcome. Faith is walking forward. While your spirit already knows I am making a way. And I am. Even now. Doors are opening that you cannot yet see. Conversations are happening in your favor. Opportunities are moving closer. Healing is entering the parts of you that suffered silently for years. Do not let temporary emotions convince you that nothing is changing. So much is changing. You are changing. The pain that once controlled you is becoming wisdom. The fear that once paralyzed you is becoming discernment. The loneliness that once broke you is becoming peace. This is what rebirth feels like, my child. Messy. Painful. Sacred. There will still be difficult days. Days where doubt whispers loudly. Days where your past tries to pull you backward. Days where you feel tired of fighting invisible battles. But do not confuse exhaustion with failure. Even warriors need rest. And I will restore you. Not just physically. Spiritually. I will restore the parts of you that people drained. The confidence heartbreak stole. The innocence betrayal wounded. Nothing the enemy tried to destroy in you is beyond my ability to heal. Nothing. One day soon, you will wake up and realize something incredible. The thing you thought would destroy you actually introduced you to your true self. And suddenly, you will stop mourning the old life. Because the new one will feel too beautiful to regret the past. So hold on a little longer, chosen one. The tears were not wasted. The waiting was not punishment. The silence was not abandonment. It was preparation. Because where I am leading you, you cannot arrive carrying the weight of who you used to be. Now lift your head. Your story is shifting. Your spirit is awakening. Your breakthrough is closer than it has ever been before. And this time, my child, you will not merely survive. You will become everything the darkness feared you would be. My child, there is something I must reveal to you now. The battle you have been fighting was never only physical. It was spiritual. That heaviness you could not explain. That exhaustion that followed you even after resting. That feeling of being pulled between fear and purpose. It was the war between who you were and who you are becoming. Because the moment a chosen soul begins awakening, everything false starts falling apart. And that collapse can feel terrifying. You lost people you thought would stay forever. You watched certain dreams disappear in front of your eyes. You outgrew places that once felt like home. And for a while, you mistook transformation for destruction. But hear me carefully now. Not everything falling apart in your life is a tragedy. Some things are collapsing because they can no longer hold the destiny inside you. You keep trying to return to old versions of yourself because they feel familiar. But familiar is not always aligned. The person you used to be cannot carry the future I have prepared for you. That version survived. But this version will lead. My child, you have spent too much time apologizing for your light. Too much time dimming your spirit to avoid making others uncomfortable. Too much time questioning your intuition, even when your soul knew the truth immediately. But now, your discernment is sharpening. You are beginning to see beyond masks, beyond fake love, beyond empty words. Because pain taught you what peace truly feels like. And from this moment forward, your spirit will no longer settle for connections that drain it. Read that slowly. You are no longer available for anything that costs your peace. Not fake loyalty. Not manipulation. Not one-sided love. Not environments that force your soul into survival mode. You have entered a different season now. A season of alignment. A season where your energy matters. Your boundaries matter. Your healing matters. And yes, my child, some people will call you different. They will say you changed. But they are right. You did change. Pain changed you. Solitude changed you. The nights you cried while nobody checked on you changed you. But most importantly, I changed you. The fire purified your spirit. You are no longer chasing validation the way you used to. No longer begging to be understood. No longer forcing connections that heaven already removed from your path. Because deep down, your soul finally understands something powerful. What is truly meant for you will never require you to abandon yourself. My child, do you know why the enemy fought your mind so hard? Because once you fully realize your worth, certain chains break forever. Fear loses power. People lose control over you. Cycles end. And a spiritually awakened person cannot be manipulated the same way twice. That is why your healing threatens darkness. Because healed souls become dangerous to anything built on lies. You thought your sensitivity was weakness. But sensitivity was your gift. You feel deeply because your spirit was designed to discern deeply. You notice energy because your soul was never meant to sleep through deception. Stop calling yourself too much. You were never too much for the right people. You were simply overflowing in places too shallow to understand you. And now, The version of you emerging from this season will stop begging oceans to fit inside cups. My child, there are blessings approaching your life quietly right now. Not loud. Not rushed. Not chaotic. Because real alignment arrives with peace. You are entering relationships that will not confuse your spirit. Spaces that will not require you to shrink yourself. Opportunities that will finally reflect your true value. But first, you must completely release the past. Not just physically. Emotionally. Stop replaying old wounds. Stop reopening doors I already closed. Stop romanticizing seasons that nearly destroyed your peace. The past cannot go where you are going. And neither can the version of you that kept surviving on crumbs. You deserve fullness now. Full peace. Full healing. Full alignment. And I know part of you is afraid. Afraid to trust again. Afraid to hope again. Afraid that disappointment will return the moment you finally begin healing. But listen to me closely. You are not the same person you were before. You carry wisdom now. Discernment now. Strength now. The pain changed your vision. And because of that, you will never again ignore what your spirit tries to warn you about. My child, there is a reason you survived every season meant to break you. You still have purpose here. There are lives your story will touch. People your healing will inspire. Souls who will find hope simply because you refuse to give up. One day, someone will hear your story. And finally believe healing is possible for them too. That is how light spreads. Not through perfection, but through survival. And when that day comes, you will realize your suffering was never meaningless. It was shaping a voice strong enough to guide others out of darkness. So stop doubting your journey. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not cursed. You are becoming. And becoming is uncomfortable. Because the old self fights to survive while the new self fights to rise. But the rising has already begun. Can you feel it? That quiet confidence returning. That peace slowly replacing confusion. That strength growing in places where fear once lived. That is your spirit remembering who you are. Chosen one. You were never ordinary. Even when you felt invisible. Even when people overlooked you. Even when life made you question your value. Heaven never questioned it. I never questioned it. You were always marked for more. And now the time has come. To stop living like someone abandoned by destiny. Walk differently now. Speak differently now. Protect your energy differently now. Because your next season will respond to the version of you that finally believes they deserve better. So lift your head, my child. The storm is losing its grip on your life. The confusion is clearing. The chains are breaking. The awakening is deepening. And very soon, the same people who doubted your journey will witness the peace, strength, and favor that emerged from your pain. Not because you were lucky, but because I never stopped guiding you through the fire. And this next chapter will be the one that changes everything. My child, you have finally reached the moment where your soul can no longer pretend. The awakening is too deep now. You can feel it in the silence, in the way your heart reacts differently, in the way certain energies disturb your spirit instantly. What once entertained you now exhausts you. What once distracted you now feels empty. Because your eyes are opening. And once a chosen soul truly sees, they can never return to sleep again. That is why this season has felt strange. You have been standing between two worlds. One version of you still grieving the past, and another version quietly calling you toward your future. And that tension inside you? That emotional pull? It is the sound of transformation happening in real time. My child, you are shedding identities that were never truly yours. The people pleaser. The overthinker. The version of you that accepted less just to avoid being abandoned. Those versions survived difficult seasons. But they cannot enter the life I am preparing for you. Because where you are, my child, you have walked through so much darkness that sometimes you forget how much light you carry. But heaven has never forgotten. Not for a single moment. Even during the seasons when you felt abandoned. When your prayers sounded like tears more than words. When your heart grew tired of hoping. I was still writing your story. Quietly. Carefully. Divinely. Because chosen souls are not built in comfort. They are built in hidden places. In nights of uncertainty. In moments of heartbreak. In battles nobody else understands. And now, you are standing at the edge of a transformation that will change your life forever. Can you feel it? The old cycles no longer satisfy your spirit. The old distractions no longer control you. The old fears are losing their voice. Something inside you is waking up stronger than ever before. That something is the truth. The truth about who you are. My child. You were never created to spend your life begging for love, attention, or acceptance. You were created to remember your worth. Even when the world failed to recognize it. And that lesson cost you pain. Because life placed you in rooms where your heart was taken for granted. You loved people who only appreciated your presence after your absence. You stayed loyal to people who secretly benefited from your self-doubt. You poured into others while your own soul quietly starved. But look at yourself now. You are finally becoming aware. Aware of your value. Aware of your energy. Aware of how precious your peace truly is. That awareness is sacred. Because once a chosen one becomes conscious of their worth, they stop settling for emotional crumbs. And that changes everything. My child. Do not feel guilty for changing. You were supposed to. The caterpillar cannot become a butterfly while remaining attached to the cocoon forever. And neither can you. Some people only knew the wounded version of you. The overgiving version. The version that tolerated disrespect because it feared losing connection. But that version is disappearing now. Not because you became cold. Because you finally became honest. Honest about what hurts you. Honest about what drains you. Honest about what your soul can no longer carry. And honesty is the beginning of freedom. Listen carefully now. The reason your spirit has felt restless lately is because your soul knows it is time to rise higher. You have stayed in survival mode for too long. Always preparing for disappointment. Always expecting betrayal. Always believing peace would eventually disappear. But my child, you do not have to live guarded forever. Healing is teaching you that safety is possible. Not perfect safety, but real peace. The kind of peace where your heart no longer panics over silence. The kind of peace where love does not feel like confusion. The kind of peace where you stop over-explaining your worth to people determined not to see it. That peace is coming closer. But first, you must stop romanticizing your suffering. Pain may have shaped you, but it is not your identity. You are more than what hurt you. Read that slowly in your spirit. You are more than what hurt you. More than the betrayal. More than the abandonment. More than the mistakes you still replay in your mind at night. Those moments were chapters. Not your entire story. And your story is still unfolding. My child. There are blessings moving toward you right now that your current eyes cannot fully see yet. New beginnings. New alignment. New people who will not force your spirit into survival mode. But your old mindset cannot enter this next season. You must release the belief that struggle is the only thing familiar to you. You deserve joy too. You deserve calm mornings. Safe love. Rest without guilt. Dreams that do not destroy your peace to achieve them. Yes, my child. Even you deserve that kind of life. I know part of you still struggles to believe it. Because pain trained you to expect less. To shrink your needs. To accept half-hearted love just to avoid loneliness. But loneliness never meant you were unworthy. Sometimes isolation was simply preparation. Preparation for discernment. Preparation for awakening. Preparation for the life your soul truly needs. And now, you are finally stepping into alignment with yourself. That is why your intuition feels louder lately. Why your energy changes around certain people instantly. Why your spirit feels exhausted in fake environments. Your soul is protecting you now. Pay attention to that. Not every discomfort is anxiety. Sometimes it is wisdom. My child. The next chapter of your life will require courage. Not loud courage. Quiet courage. The courage to walk away from what no longer aligns. The courage to stop chasing people who repeatedly wound your spirit. The courage to choose yourself without feeling selfish. Because choosing peace is not selfish. It is survival for the soul. And your soul has survived enough battles already. Now it deserves restoration. Can you imagine that? A version of you that no longer lives in constant emotional exhaustion. A version of you that trusts life again. That laughs deeply again. That sleeps peacefully again. That version is real. And it is closer than you think. The healing happening within you right now is not temporary. It is rebuilding your entire foundation. Slowly. Carefully. Beautifully. One day, you will wake up and realize you no longer react to things that once shattered you. You will notice how calm your spirit has become. How deeply you trust yourself now. How naturally you walk away from what once drained you. And in that moment, you will understand why the pain had to end. Not because you became numb, but because you finally became free. So keep moving forward, chosen one. Even when healing feels slow. Even when your heart still carries scars. Even when the future feels uncertain sometimes. Because every step you take now is leading you closer to the life your soul prayed for in secret. And hear me one last time tonight, my child. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. Prepared for peace. Prepared for purpose. Prepared for a life that no longer feels like constant survival. The storm is ending. And the version of you rising from it will be stronger, wiser, softer, and more powerful than anything the darkness ever expected. My child, you have spent so much of your life surviving. That peace almost feels unfamiliar to you now. Isn't it strange? Chaos became normal. Overthinking became normal. Carrying everyone else's pain while hiding your own became normal. And because of that, your soul forgot what it felt like to simply breathe. But I am restoring that now. Slowly. Gently. Completely. Because this next season of your life is not about proving your worth through suffering anymore. It is about receiving. Receiving clarity. Receiving healing. Receiving the love, peace, and alignment you once believed belonged only to other people. My child, you have underestimated how much your spirit has grown. The old you would have broken under this pressure. The old you would have begged people to stay. The old you would have ignored the signs just to avoid being alone. But look closely at yourself now. You are learning to let go. Not because it does not hurt, but because your soul finally understands that holding on to what destroys your peace is not loyalty. It is self-abandonment. And you have abandoned yourself enough already. Listen carefully now. There is a reason you feel emotionally exhausted after certain conversations. A reason your energy shifts around certain people. A reason your spirit feels heavy in environments that once felt familiar. Your soul is no longer willing to betray itself. That discomfort you feel? It is discernment. You are awakening to what drains you and what truly nourishes you. Because chosen ones carry sensitive spirits. Not weak spirits. Sensitive spirits. You notice what others ignore. You feel energies others dismiss. You sense dishonesty before words even reveal it. And for years, you questioned that gift. You called yourself too emotional. Too sensitive. Too complicated. But my child, Your sensitivity was never the problem. The problem was that you kept offering your heart to people who did not know how to hold it gently. And now, that cycle ends. No more forcing connection where there is no peace. No more shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. No more begging for the bare minimum while calling it love. Your soul deserves deeper than that. Read that again slowly. Your soul deserves deeper than that. You deserve conversations that feel safe. Love that does not confuse your spirit. Friendships that do not leave you emotionally starving afterward. And yes, those things truly exist. Do not let your past convince you otherwise. My child, one of the greatest battles you faced was the belief that you had to earn love through suffering. That you had to overgive to deserve connection. That you had to stay silent to avoid rejection. That you had to carry everyone else's pain while ignoring your own. But real love never asks you to destroy yourself to keep it alive. Never. Love should not constantly feel like survival. Peace should not feel impossible. And your heart was never created to live in permanent exhaustion. That is why I have been pulling you away from certain people lately. Not to punish you. To protect you. Some connections were draining your spirit quietly. Some environments were keeping your nervous system trapped in fear. Some people only loved the version of you that lacked boundaries. But boundaries are not cruelty, my child. Boundaries are wisdom. And wisdom is finally growing inside you. Can you feel it? That quiet strength appearing when you say no. That peace you feel after walking away from chaos. That confidence slowly returning to your spirit. That is healing. Not loud. Not dramatic. Sacred. My child. There are things I protected you from. That you still do not fully understand. Moments where rejection saved your future. Moments where silence protected your heart. Moments where delays prevented deeper pain later. You cried over doors that would have destroyed your peace if they opened. And one day, you will thank me for every unanswered prayer that kept you safe. Because what is truly meant for you will never require you to lose yourself completely. The life waiting for you now is asking for a different version of you. A calmer version. A wiser version. A version no longer addicted to chaos disguised as passion. You are learning that peace is not boring. Peace is holy. And after everything your spirit has endured, holy peace is exactly what you need. My child. Stop being ashamed of your healing process. Healing is not linear. Some days you feel strong. Some days old wounds ache again. That does not mean you are failing. It means you are human. Even waves return to the shore before moving forward again. So be patient with yourself. You are undoing years of pain, fear, and emotional survival. That takes time. But look how far you have already come. You no longer tolerate what once broke you. You no longer chase people who run from your love. You no longer ignore your intuition just to feel accepted. That is growth. And growth is proof that your soul is finally choosing itself too. My child. The next version of your life will not be built on fear anymore. It will be built on alignment. You will wake up without constant heaviness in your chest. You will laugh without secretly hurting inside. You will experience relationships that feel calm instead of confusing. And perhaps for the first time in your life, you will realize what it feels like to exist without constantly preparing for pain. Can you imagine that? A heart no longer living in survival mode.